The events of yesterday highlight Zelensky's shift in rhetoric and strategy as Ukraine faces new pressures both on the battlefield and diplomatically. The escalation of Russia's missile capabilities, particularly the deployment of the Oreshnik missile, underscores Moscow's attempt to assert military dominance and influence global perceptions of its power as Trump comes into office. And this action not only has provoked NATO's condemnation, but has served as a direct challenge to Ukraine's Western allies, whom Putin accuses of globalizing the conflict. Zelenskyy characterized Russia's use of an experimental missile as a severe escalation, urging a unified and strong international response, and his language emphasized the urgency of holding Moscow accountable, framing the missile strike as a deliberate test of Western resolve. However, this escalation comes as Zelenskyy begins to temper his maximalist goals, likely in recognition of the shifting realities as Trump's election as US president takes effect in January. His recent remarks to Fox News about Crimea suggests that it cannot be retaken through military force, marks a dramatic departure from his earlier position. While maintaining that Ukraine will not legally recognize Russian-occupied territories, he signaled a willingness to pursue diplomatic avenues. And this reflects both a pragmatic assessment of Ukraine's capabilities and an adaptation to anticipated pressure from Trump's incoming administration, which has vowed to seek a swift resolution to the war. So the gradual shift from uncompromising calls for victory to a conciliatory tone aligns with public sentiment in Ukraine. Polls show increasing support for negotiations, rising from 27% last year to 52% now. And this suggests that both Zelenskyy and the Ukrainian population are reconciling with the possibility of a negotiated settlement that might leave parts of Ukraine under Russian control. But nevertheless, even at that point, these are two countries that need to live side by side. Putin's use of the Oreshnik missile and threats against Western nations supplying Ukraine highlights a strategy of intimidation. Moscow's intention is to force Western allies into reconsidering their support for Ukraine by emphasizing the risks of escalation into a wider conflict. NATO and the UN have condemned the missile test, but Zelensky's remarks suggest frustration with what he perceives as insufficiently strong reactions. His call for decisive action against Russia reflects Ukraine's dependence on sustained and robust Western support, both militarily and diplomatically. The public and parliamentary reaction, Ukraine's parliament delaying its sessions, underscores the heightened sense of vulnerability in Kyiv following the missile strike, and Zelensky's adjustment in rhetoric also seeks to balance military resilience with the growing public appetite for peace. His stance reflects a leader navigating an increasingly constrained environment, and the combination of intensified Russian aggression, wavering Western unity, and changing US priorities forces Ukraine to recalibrate its ambitions. It is remarkable that somebody whose former career was in theatre and in television can pivot with the capacity of the most seasoned politicians. Zelenskyy has remarkable skill, and I know in the comments section sometimes people dismiss him as a puppet and look back on his former career. These people are shallow and haven't observed the reality. The reality is that there is a leader in Ukraine who is capable of leading, and his softened tone hints at an embracing of realism. Victory might no longer mean reclaiming all Ukrainian territory, but securing a sustainable peace under the best achievable terms.